Other questions?
So I came late, so apologies first.
That's all right.
But this may be something that's already been asked. You hear about some writers, their dream is to write the great American novel or whatever it is. Do you guys want to create great fiction, or do you want to create stories that you're really going to love, or do you just kind of go, we'll put it out there and hopefully it's both?
Well, hopefully it's both. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to do what you love. I mean,
Right.
you have to write. Typically, I think everybody would say you write what you want to read. I don't know what the great American novel is. I tried to write it one time.
That was the first time you saw your wrist, right?
It was the great Canadian novel.
You want to write something. I think if you write something you love, if you're in love, if you really connect with the characters, then it doesn't become great, but it becomes readable. It becomes there's a truism. If you have to do what's true to your artistic vision,
Right.
without getting too deep. I just did.
Seriously, stop getting smart.
But does that answer your question?
Yes.
I'll stop now.
I feel I achieved that with Merc with the Mouth 7.
You did, though. You did.
So I'm all done. I'm good.
My first agent, she was into big books, and I don't write big books. And I don't mean just not big words, but I mean conceptually. I mean, she wanted big, splashy books, and sold these first 2 books with the idea that we'd write bigger books later. And so her whole thing was, I want you to write the big book. And I tried writing the big book, and it sucked. It was literally trying to write the great big American novel that sort of looks like the Da Vinci Code kind of thing. I mean, because that's what she wanted, and it was a miserable process. And at the end, it was such an empty feeling. I was like, I'll never do this again for anybody. I'll write what I write, and I'll like it, and we'll see what happens, kind of thing. And then, if good things happen, great, but at least I'll be happy at the end of it.
Okay.
Are you guys trying to get into comics? And if so, what would you like to write?
What do you got in mind?
Yeah. What do you got? You got an offer?
I don't have one.
Again, I listen to everything that comes my way. I don't ever say no to anything that would show up, and I try not to have any preconceived notions about what I would or would not do. So I'm always looking. It's like Victor said, anything where you can tell a story, any medium that you can use to tell a story is of interest to me.
I'm always looking too, and I would like what both of them said. There's so much. It would be so nice to do something with someone else, kind of as a pairing, because then you've got somebody to bounce it back and forth with. So, but no, I'm not trying, but I'm open to it too.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think when I think of Jeff, I think Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck is your project.
I think a lot of people think that.
All right. Just saying. It's there for you.
Oh, project. I thought you meant it looked like.
I don't know.
Well, are there any story ideas that you guys have ever had where you thought maybe they would work better as comics as opposed to novels, or it would be a cool, interesting idea for it to be a comic? Like Jim Butcher has said that he always thought that the Dresden Files would work really well as a comic. So, and of course now he's trying to with the Dabble Brothers, but I didn't know if you guys had ever had that thought cross your mind on something that would kind of work that way.
I want to do something that works as well as what he did.
Yeah. Whatever Jim's doing, that'll work. That'll work. I thought a lot, because I grew up in San Diego, because I based the first few books, kind of in the beach culture and stuff, I've always thought that would be a cool setting for, either comics or graphic novels. I just thought there's something to that kind of texture, in that world, and it's a little bit grittier. It's definitely grittier than actually what I write. Ken Nunn is a guy who really gets into the gritty side of the beach culture, and when I think of those to me scream comic books. Where you could do some great stuff, both from a story standpoint and artistically. I think they'd be really cool looking.
Didn't Kim Nunn work on John from Cincinnati?
Okay. Do you guys know John from Cincinnati?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay.
I love that show.
Okay. All right. I got a really good story. I don't think either of you guys know. Do you know this story?
No, I don't know this story.
Okay.
You want me to sit out there?
No. HBO was looking for a surfing series. You might not have noticed. And my agent called and said, okay. So we had a film and TV agent in Los Angeles who handled the film and TV rights for my book. Said, okay, it's between you and another author, and HBO's really serious. We're going to hear something within 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. I don't need to sleep for 2 weeks. And then then she finally called me. She says, "Well, it's not you." I said, "Okay, well, who is it?" She found out and it was Ken Nunn, and I had done a signing with Ken Nunn in California, so good guy and whatever, but totally different than what I was writing. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see what it is. So they came out, and I'm like, this is so different than what I would have done, and gosh darn it.
It was John from Cincinnati?
It was John from Cincinnati. It was his series. And I was like, and then it lasted like a season, right? Season and a half or something like that. I'm like, come on. You made the wrong decision, HBO. Call me back.
You'll take him back.
I have a visceral reaction to John from Cincinnati every time I hear it now, unfortunately.
Well, guys, can we answer any further questions?
So I like to ask this of all the authors. What are your pet peeves? Something in your genre that you see other writers doing that really irritates you, that you think it's overdone?
The talking cat.
Can we guess vampire?
I don't even think you need a guess. Oh, gosh. You know, it's hard to criticize the authors, I think, because there's a lot of pressure from within the industry, from editors and agents. And once they see one thing work, hey, Vampires is a great example. It's a great example. There's a few authors that do great, then Twilight explodes, and then it's like, oh my God, all the world's buying this vampire book, so you should all be writing vampire books. So there's a lot of pressure from...
Are you writing a vampire book?
I'm not. I'm not. Again, that's...
You gotta surf at night. You gotta surf at night.
So some of those things are hard to criticize because you can almost feel it. I was waiting for you to pull it out. I was just waiting. So I don't want to criticize anybody, for taking.
Well, I didn't mean get personal, but just
Sure.
something you're so sick of seeing.
But this is actually a nice cautionary tale, and it goes with what you're saying. Because the original title of this book, my title of this book, was Bad Alchemy. Because there is a vampire in here, but it's much more about alchemists and wizards and a bunch of other stuff. But there happens to be a vampire in it also. And my publisher said, quote, "Vampires are hot right now. Let's call it Vampire Go-Go." And I said, yes, but what if instead we did something that didn't suck? And they said, no, we know what we're doing. We're professional. We let publishers suck. So there we go. So that's exactly an example. That is a result of that. Exactly what you're talking about.
I actually wasn't going to buy that because it had vampires in it. No, I'm serious. You start talking about alchemy, I'm like, no one's writing alchemy. I don't want to get into that.
It's like there is a vampire in it, but it's like a supporting kind of character. So, there we go. Other questions in which we could reveal our failures or problems.
I wanted to touch on, and I don't know if this is so much a question, more of a comment. A lot of people see Deadpool as sort of a witty, fire from the hip, almost shallow kind of thing that just doesn't matter. But when we were talking earlier on about that, I think just being in the Marine Corps, et cetera, and having to go through a lot of the Iraqi stuff, I love it because it literally does personify perfectly the Marine mentality that if you've been through stuff and things have blown up, you're supposed to be dead like 3 times over, and you're not. It's not because of training, it's not because of anything, it's because Allah shined on you or something like that. You start getting that who gives a rat's ass and some of that. So I think obviously you weren't going out for Marine mentality, but you captured that mentality perfectly. And I read this, I'm like, wow, these are all my friends talking, And then we go out and lay out a couple rounds and get blown up, come out completely unscathed, and just go have a burger afterwards. It was just perfect.
And something else that I sort of realized about Deadpool as a character is that he is physically invulnerable in that he'll heal up. If he gets his arm cut off, you stick it back on and he'll heal back, whatever. I think I don't know if it was Way's series, but there's one where he's basically liquefied, and he goes back together. So he's physically invulnerable, but he's very emotionally vulnerable, and I think he very much has that class clown sort of attitude of I'm going to say these things to kind of guard against, nobody likes me, I got a bunch of scars and all this kind of stuff. So So I think there's a large part of that too. It's like I'm going to keep stuff at a distance. Nothing's going to hurt me.